So if you haven't been living under a rock, you've definitely heard of the term looksmaxing. Um, it's very interesting, right? These trends come up in the self-improvement space. I've watched a few videos on it just to see, because I didn't understand what looksmaxing was. I'm like, what do you mean looksmaxing? And it's basically like, again, the name, maximizing how you look, having all of the perfect features, getting the hunter eye. I didn't even know these terms existed, right? Just different things that men believe are attractive to women. When I'm like, shouldn't women be saying what they're attracted to and not other men telling you what is attractive to women, because you're not a woman, so you wouldn't know. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. Essentially, I've studied it, and what I got out of this, and I always think very different. I always think outside of the box. But I've seen that just it's the same as what I've mentioned before about this whole like alpha male movement, where there's so many prescriptions and nothing is getting to the root of the issue. And you may be thinking like, no, you need to looks max. You need to make sure that your hygiene is good. Yes, the basics, hygiene, right? Making sure that you're well groomed. I just got a haircut. Like there's things that you do, right? Smell good, cologne, things that can add to you. But looks maxing is different because there's a psychological change that it's trying to accomplish. It's trying to turn you into a different man, a more masculine man, a man who is attractive to women. Right? It goes deeper, like like mewing, for example. I didn't even know what this was. It's crazy, mewing. So it's like where you like push your jaw out and you're like, your jaw's out and you're just like pushing it, and your tongue, I think, is touching the roof of your mouth or something like that to get like a more square jawline. Maybe that's great, but the reality is your physiognomy changes based on, one, your occupation, and two, just what you're doing on a regular basis, like how you're moving, like what type of stress you're on. Like, have you ever seen men who are in highly stressful positions and they don't let the stress get them, but there's stress impeding on them? Like the way that they look changes. The look that they have in their eye changes, right? Their jaws consistently clenched because they're stressed. So of course they're gonna get that look, right? Or you may be chewing gum just as a stress reliever all the time. Like there's different things that you do. You go to the gym, you train, you put stress on your body. That causes you to have a leaner, tighter, better looking physique, which essentially gets your jawline to show more because all the fat around your face goes down. So you see all of these things. You see that there are certain activities that you do that essentially allow for you to start looking better regardless, right? And they change your character. See, I'm really big on character. I don't care about the external aesthetics or the add-ons, like the makeup that everybody's pushing with this looks maxing thing, right? I understand there's people with like their jawline is messed up, like their chin goes inward and like they have a weird look. Yes, these are exercises that are great, but essentially, it's strengthening different areas of your body. I totally get it. So my biggest issue with looks maxing is people will tend to over optimize for looks maxing. Like they'll get to a point where you're overdoing it. It's the same with fitness. Like there will be a point where you're overdoing it. Like, yes, you've gotten the muscle, you look good, great. You don't need to be in the gym for 2 to 3 hours at a time. Now let's maintain, let's refine, let's get a little bit better here and there. You don't need to be a gym cell. You don't need to be try to go be Mr. Olympia. You've already gotten to the threshold that you need to get to that puts you in that top 0.0001% of men and women like that. All right, let's be honest. We work out for our mental state and women. Let's keep it real. I'm just keeping it 100 with y'all. Looks maxing, it's weird to me because I just feel like no woman's going to go watch a looks. Obviously, they're not going to watch a looks maxing video, but they're not analyzing these things like hunter eyes and you got to make sure your eyebrows are this and that. Like, bro, if you look a certain way, you can enhance it. Like, clean up your eyebrows a little bit. Don't shape it up like a female, but clean it up a little bit. Make sure that your lips are nice and you use chapstick or you use something, like just keep it basic. See, the man who doesn't need to do all of this, or the man who doesn't emphasize on doing all of these rituals and routines, just that energy of like, you don't care is actually very attractive to women. There are men who don't have perfect perfect faces, symmetrical faces with amazing features, dark feature. There are men who don't have that and like crazy jawlines, and they still pull so many women because of just their personality, their aura. That's what women are attracted to, is your aura. I'm not saying you should put your looks on the wayside and not focus on looking better overall and coming out with a better aesthetic. I believe that. I'm a big proponent of aesthetics. But to literally, like, there are people who genuinely have YouTube channels that revolve around looksmaxing. There are other men who are rating other men's faces out of 10 in terms of attractiveness. Do you know how, like, that's backwards. That's the most feminine thing I've ever seen. So we've gotten to this point where it's almost like bodybuilding, right? Where like you're a bodybuilder, you think these muscles you're getting are for women, but really they're attracting other guys. You're getting more attention from other guys because they're the ones that care about the massive muscles. And it's the same with looksmaxing and all this other stuff. You get to a point where you've kind of just like gotten to that point where it's good. You don't need to be doing extra things. And you go to the extreme and you try to like look like a Ken doll to the point where now it's men that are rating how you look. You see how that's weird? So my whole thing around looksmaxing is like, I don't see a point in fixating on those things. Now, obviously, if you have a big flaw that gets you insecure about yourself, for sure, work on that. But to dedicate your life to looksmaxing, there's literally people who call themselves the looksmaxing guy, right? They dedicate their entire life to like looksmaxing. And it's like, bro, I don't know how good you want to look. Like, what's the end goal behind this? Like, you want to be like the best looking guy on the planet? That's not happening. How you look is subjective to the person, right? That's seeing you. So there's no objectivity to it. So for me, I think looksmaxing is almost pointless for most guys. I think most guys can do basic grooming, get in shape, dress well, and honestly just improve your personality, improve your spirit, improve your aura. Be somebody that's cool to be around. Be funny, right? Like, get a little bit of a sense of humor to you. You don't have to look like this super alpha male, quote unquote, with like hunter eyes and square jawline and, you know, all that. Like, you don't need all of that. If you want to go get that, by all means. I'm not telling you not to do it, but don't make it the center point of your life. The same way I will say, don't make fitness the center point of your life. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, there's so many other aspects that you need to be working on. That's the thing with self-improvement. Some people, they'll overemphasize on one thing. And the whole goal is to be balanced across the board. Is to have the finances, is to have the body, is to have the look, right? Is to have the spirit, the soul, the energy. It's to have, you know, the charisma. It's to have all of these stuff work in unison. There's no reason why you should be overemphasizing on one and ignoring the rest. But again, I digress. Looksmaxing is interesting. I think it gets to borderline feminine at a certain point. And I think it's important to get the basics of grooming and the basics of making sure you take care of your skin, your teeth, your hair. Cool, take care of that. But to be honest, you don't need to be hyper fixating on each little like feature on your face and how you can improve. Oh, I want to get higher cheekbones. And like, you don't need all of that. Because at the end of the day, women, which is why you do it, you're not looksmaxing for men. If you are, then, well, we know what you are, which is fine. Totally cool. That's your choice. But like, you're not doing that. You're doing it for women. And you have to understand, the person who prepares the most for a date, the guy who does, tends to mess that date up. I've seen it with experience and I've done it myself. When I go into a date and I'm like rushing and I just kind of throw something on and I just go, it goes way better than, you know, if I'm if I'm over here like making sure that everything's good and like, oh, I gotta make sure that, you know, my eyebrows are straightened out. Like, when you're hyper focusing on that, that's when things tend to go wrong. It's weird. There's no science behind this, but it's just a reality. So yeah, looksmaxing is interesting. I don't necessarily care about it as much. Yeah, I'm gonna do the basic grooming. As you can see, got a haircut, got all this, got the beard, all that is cool. But that's just part of the equation. So yes, get your look to be good. You don't need to max out your look. You don't even need to max out your physique. Really, you need to max out here. Max this out. That's going to be the biggest thing. Everything else comes. Obviously, work on your weak points. Overemphasize the weak points for a moment of time, but always revert back to the mean, back to the balance. So again, this was just my own personal opinion critique on looksmaxing, and that whole community is built around itself. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about looksmaxing. If you think it's legit, some people say it's homo, it's weird. I have mixed opinions on it. As you can see, I'm all over the place, but that's just really what I think about it. I don't know. I don't see a reason behind it. I don't see why it needs to be a movement, but you know, people have to carve out niches for themselves, and I totally understand. But I appreciate you. Well, if you're looking to get in shape so that way you don't have to be mewing all the time, just cut down your body fat percentage. You don't need to be mewing. You just need to cut down your body fat percentage to under 15%. Tap the link below. Apply for one-on-one coaching with me when it comes to fitness. I got you. Get your body right, man. Put yourself under some stress. Actually get the look that you want based on the actions that you're taking, not prescriptions and little tips and tactics and all of that. Do the things that are going to make you look like a real masculine male. So appreciate you again. Have a good rest of your day. I'm gonna see you on the next video.